Hello everyone, and welcome to another Transformers review. As you can see, this isn't actually a Transformers so much a book on Transformers. As you can no doubt read, this is the Transformers Vault book. It comes in a hard case, obviously with a G1 Optimus Prime on the front there, and also G1 Megatron on the back. Retails for, what would it be? US is $35, Canada's $42, and UK is £22.99. It's quite steep as far as, maybe a book goes, but if I take it out, which it just slides out at the end there, you get a fantastic book. There's some fantastic detail in this book. You've got obviously the Power Master Prime from the G1 line, and obviously you've got the Prime from the Beast Wars, and then you get Prime from the movies. But on the back you obviously get the equivalent in the Megatron figure, so you've got G1, Beast Wars, and obviously movie Megatron. Just give you a little flick through. Obviously I can't go through every page, but it starts off with quite a nice foreword. It's got brilliant artwork, I should say, all the way through this, from the comics and from all the artists who have done the comics over the years, whether it's the Marvel or the newer graphic novel type ones. Can't think of the name. IDW, sorry, do the new ones. You get like the G1 artwork from the boxes, and you get a foreword from Peter Cullen, excuse me, and then you get a lot of facts. You start off with G1, showing the Diaclone as well on this side, some of the figures. It doesn't do a breakdown of every single figure, but it does show you some of the prototypes, some of the prototype moulding from some of the G1s, how they did it. Also a complete sort of breakdown of how it became G1 from the Takara lines and that, and obviously Diaclone and Microman lines. And then you get sort of like the G1 leaflet sort of print out there. But the nice thing, and they've done it in several places through the book, where that just looks like, yeah, page of leaflets, that's one of the leaflets collecting it, picture of G1 Jazz, but they've actually reprinted one of the original G1 leaflets, and it is accurate to the originals because I've obviously got those with the toys. And you've got a double-sided proper leaflet, collector's leaflet from the G1 line. That's from like the original 84 sort of line, and then it goes into some of the obscure bits such as the board games, tents, obviously the play outfit, goes through explaining the reason behind the rub sign. Also, and I did notice it on this, and I don't know if this was different artwork in other countries, but this is the artwork that was on some of the G1 boxes. Now if you look at my other reviews, I actually show this artwork, but this particular picture is different from what we used to get on our boxes, because around about here was Jetfire, whereas of course it's Blitzwing. Swoop's in the picture, which obviously we didn't get Swoop in the UK, and they've got Devastator in there, which I find is quite strange that this was the original artwork, yet they've cut out several big chunks, which also does explain why some of the bits didn't quite make sense. That sort of like, you had a red version, which obviously was like the Diaclone version of Trax firing at Jetfire on our packaging, but of course it makes sense if he's firing at Blitzwing. But this is all a little bit odd. So that alone is, that's really intriguing to me. No quite explanation to how come that's not what we got on the box, but there's other bits and bobs. You actually get a text spec decoder, Again, another picture which is obviously artwork from boxing, from the G1 box, but not any artwork I've ever come across before. So whether it's something they tried and changed their mind on, I don't know. But you get a few tech specs done as the original G1s. But like I say, I won't go right through the whole book, but it does go right up to the computer game. There's a dummy ticket from the premiere, from the first movie, and it just goes through. It's got some brilliant artwork, some pictures I've never seen before. Oh, sorry, I did say before that it didn't have anything of Transformers Prime, but it does actually. I forgot about that because I've been more concentrating on the earlier stuff. But you've got Energon, Cybertron, Armada, all the Beast Wars, just about every single one. But there's other parts it concentrates on the comic side of things. It has things like another pull-out thing, which is another poster, which is like the original G1 movie poster. It's supposed to be like a remake of the poster you'd have got at the cinema, although whether it's the prototype one I'm not sure, because the one there is actually what we used to have. I'll leave that for now, I can't get that back in for the minute. But it goes through pictures from the cartoons. There's something else there, going by the thickness of the page, isn't it? Thought I was going to have something else to show you then. But there are so many brilliant bits to this, so much great artwork. Again, you've got a prototype picture, what's never been published anywhere, to do with the IDWs. But it's fantastic, I really recommend this to any collector of Transformers. The amount of depth they go into some things is brilliant. They could have done a little bit more of a feature of some of the, like a complete picture of the complete lines of each generation, but then I suppose you'd almost be taking up a book in its own right doing that. But they're showing different ones from animated. Even things like the Masterpiece Prime, alternators. One thing I'd never seen before, which is in here, which is great. They've got the newer version of the Armada Unicron, but they also show a version of Unicron which I never made, but was from the '86 movie. So this is actually what they would have brought out if they'd have done Unicron. Looks a little bit tubby. And obviously, at the time, G1 line, a little bit more sort of like clumsy, the construction of some things, and obviously they didn't have quite as sophisticated machines to churn it out like they do now. But it's interesting the fact that they did try to make him, which I never really knew why they hadn't, but they'd obviously thought about it, but maybe they just thought it didn't come out right. But yeah, it's well worth a look. Some original artwork which they never used because they never released those figures in the G2 line. Again, like some of the G2 figures. And then it's, as you get near to the front of the book, it's concentrating more on G1, some of the Japanese exclusive stuff, like Defosaurus. Sorry, got in there. The Decepticon Headmaster, which never came into fruition. The Stingray, but they didn't even get to the stage of giving him a name. But yeah, getting back to some of the other bits I've already shown you. But really great book, really recommend that. For value for money, yeah, it's expensive, but if you're a real G1 fan, it's definitely worth getting. Just alone for the extra little bits, like I open it up, like the original G1 movie poster and that. It's fantastic sort of stuff. You don't come across that often. so much stuff is a rehash or a reprint of the old stuff, where a lot of this, although obviously reprinting leaflets and that, but if you're a collector who's come into it later and you just don't have the G1 stuff, or you can't afford to pick up that sort of thing, it's a real sort of vision into the past of what Transformers started out as, and maybe just sort of show you where some of the development, where things have come from. Like I say, well worth picking up, and I'd seriously recommend that to any collector. I hope you enjoyed that review. I know it's a little bit different from the Transformers as such, but I think this is something that would interest any G1 fan, any Transformer fan, to be honest. Okay, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again for another Transformers review.